Hello, my name's Bev and I'm the author of the book Please Eat, A Mother's Struggle to Free Her Teenage Son from Anorexia, which describes our family's battle with the deadly eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, which my teenage son Ben developed back in 2009 when he was just 15 years old. These are the final two posts of June 2011. The first one's called More About the Surreal World of Being a Parent of a Teenager with Anorexia. In another post, I allude to the surreal way we sat on the beach on a holiday in France last summer. All around us, families were going about a normal, enjoyable, fun day at the beach, while we were in some kind of invisible, nightmarish bubble, cut off from the rest. This was how it was for us for an entire year, reaching a nightmarish height last summer. It was like living in some kind of surreal, parallel universe. For as long as you can, you attempt to work as normal because work can be a welcome distraction. Anorexia also makes you much more disciplined because you never know when you might have to down tools at the drop of a hat. But what you don't do as normal during what I call the high anorexia period is to go to the supermarket normally, eat in restaurants or cafes normally, drop off and pick up from school normally, watch TV normally, eat meals normally, sleep normally, and generally live life as a normal family. In the surreal world of anorexia, you're painfully aware of how normal other people's kids seem. In the good old pre-anorexia days, Ben used to finish the school day like everyone else, laughing, joking and generally messing around. In the bad high anorexia days, Ben would invariably skulk across the car park alone, a haunted look on his thin face, his school uniform almost falling off his emaciated body. With high anorexia, picking up from school was a lottery, because you never know how your child is going to be, reasonably okay or in the depths of depression with tears all the way home. You feel as if you're treading on eggshells. With high anorexia, you're constantly expecting a call from school saying Ben is in medical, can you come and fetch him? Or a text from Ben saying he can't go on like this, anorexia's kicking in or whatever. After a particularly harrowing day in spring 2010 when I received 22 distressing texts from Ben, we made the decision to take him out of school for the time being, despite GCSE exams being on the horizon. If he flunked them, well, so what? All we were interested in was his recovery from this dreadful illness. During the darkest anorexia days, TV programmes were interrupted as we reached another crisis and tried to calm Ben down. The cooking of meals had to be policed to make sure no dangerous foods went into recipes, things like cheese, butter and so on. Calories were counted meticulously and portions measured. Too big or too small a portion, and he was thrown into confusion. The kind of confusion that had him banging his head on the fridge door in frustration. Once he even cleared the fridge of reduced fat cheese, chucking it in the bin. At the height of anorexia, you're constantly on red alert when asleep, like you were when your child was small. And you go through tissues as if they were going out of fashion. Imagine crying virtually every day for 5 months on the trot. If you're a parent of an anorexic teenager, you will know what I mean. And as you come through the worst of the anorexia and start doing more normal things with your daily life, your parental radar is constantly on red alert for signs of the eating disorder. The slightest noise and you go into freeze mode and the adrenaline kicks in. You start accepting social invitations again, but dive back into the surreal world when your child freaks out at the food on offer. Meanwhile, your hosts are slapping them on the back, saying, "Tuck in, you look as if you could do with a bit of fat on you." Obviously, they haven't guessed, and they probably think it's the height of bad manners to leave early because you, as a parent, can't face the mouth-watering food either if your child won't eat. But thankfully, that was then, in the past. This summer, I don't feel as if we're in some kind of surreal bubble while the rest of the world goes on around us as normal. This year, I feel very much part of the real world. And that's the end of that blog post. And now I'll just read a quick one, which is the final one of June, the 30th of June 2011, and it's called Anything for a Simple Life. Thank goodness that now I can trust Ben to not only prepare his own food, but also prepare and cook our evening meal exactly as per the recipe with nothing omitted, and to successfully and accurately count his calories, because all hell has broken loose now. My 89-year-old dad has finally been discharged from hospital. It's what's called an unsafe discharge, in that apart from a district nurse that visits twice a day, no other care package or practical arrangement has been set in place. I don't have time to go into detail here as I'm having to sort it out, but here's something I posted on Facebook today. Well, they've arranged a district nurse twice a day temporarily, but I spent 5 hours yesterday trying to sort everything out and doing the same today when the district nurse comes back. Not just problems with the tube into his stomach, which is how he has to eat food now, 4 times a day, plus a vast array of morning and night medication, which also has to be administered in the same way. But there's also the mobility and continence aspects too, not forgetting the fact that my dad loves to order my 84-year-old mum around like a servant or secretary, and is constantly whittering on about stuff in his OCD-like insistence on micro-managing his life. It's driving me mad. I can't even begin to imagine how we would have coped with this had it been 12 or 18 months ago, in the high anorexia period, or even 6 months ago. Times like this bring into sharp relief just how much Ben has recovered from his anorexia and anorexia behaviours and thoughts. These days I know I can trust him implicitly to do what's required without cheating or lying. And last night's homemade salmon teriyaki with seaweed, garlic and rapeseed oil potato crush, plus Marks and Spencer's duck spring rolls and prawn crackers, was delicious. Followed by Ben's awesome sticky apple, apricot and almond cake with ice cream. Difficult to know which is better, this cake or the very sticky ginger cake, or the malt loaf, which beats the supermarket malt loaf hands down. So that's the end of that post and the end of the June entries from 2011. And as you can see, it ended on a good news as far as Ben's recovery was concerned, and not so good news as far as my dad's illness and illness management is concerned. Thank you for listening. You'll find a link below to my blog, and you'll also find a link to my website where you can download free PDFs of my blog, and also a link to Amazon where you can buy a copy of my book.